Chapter 71. 8 months later. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. 8 months passed away in a blink of an eye. Nothing changed in Azzy's life. Oakley and his family were still missing. Gideon is still unchanged, being his best friend. The students continue to stay away from him. Previously it was out of fear to Leonard. Now, it is due to his cold attitude towards anyone that approaches him, although this made him a bit more popular among girls. Because of the school regulations, the students weren't allowed to take a trip to the level .3 region in the world of Arcana. On top of that, as his master, the principal focused on improving his lack of control over his soul energy, as he wasn't taken to a private trip either. So, his soul/Arcana rank improved slowly. The only thing that's different is the behavior of the Galarian beast. In the disguise of Leo, it always tried to befriend Azzy no matter how many times he ignored him. Rumors began to circulate all over the academy. One rumor stated that Azzy is a prince from another country and was engaged to the youngest princess. Leonard was against this marriage. Another rumor says that the prince isn't straight and pursues Azzy after falling in love with him. One more rumor says that they are best friends in the past. At first, the prince wants to suppress him, and when it failed, he tried to mend their relationship. All of these ridiculous rumors created by the grade .9 students, specifically, girls who have too much time in their hands to have such wild fantasies. Leonard, being a Galarian beast with no specific gender and only care about its survival and nothing else, didn't care. As for Azzy, he was too busy to care about anyone or anything else. Along with receiving the mansion as a gift from Afia, he also received a letter from her, a few months ago, about how they will hide for a while due to underlying reasons. Since they are alive and well, Azzy no longer worried about them and continued to focus on training. Taking the help from the seals and working hard by sparring with the special robot, Azzy was able to control his strength as long as he locked the 6th seal that restricts his soul power to 100,000. Training grounds, Aclean Academy. In the evening, every student from higher grades gathered at the training grounds. Hilas, a peak rank .6 expert and the common combat instructor for everyone, stood in the middle. Clap. Now, listen carefully. After gathering attention from everyone, Hilas continued, today is your last week of combat training, especially for the 10th graders who will soon graduate within 2 months. As a special occasion, all of you will spar with a special person. He took out the item card that the principal lent him and ran his soul energy into it to activate it. Almost instantly, a robot appeared before everyone. It is the size of an average adult. However, as the students are still in the growing phase, they can't help but raise their heads to see its face. This is called 1AB, designed by our government. If we consider our Arcana rankings, its overall strength is kinda similar to the strength of gold.grade, peak.rank .6 beast. So, you can think of it as a king of a level .3 region. However, the difference between this robot and the beast is that it can adjust its strength according to its opponent. It has perfect control. So, it is completely safe to train with it. When he mentioned perfect control, Hilas glanced at Azzy, who was standing at the back of the group, along with Gideon. He continued, it was lent to our academy for security purposes, but the principal thinks that they can be used for training the students. We should thank student Leonard for winning the national tournament, which made it possible. Give him a round of applause. Clap. As everyone clapped their hands, Azzy, who was in the group, also followed them. Teacher Hilas, if Junior Azrael participated in the tournament, then, the winner would have been different. As Leo tried to be modest, the others just shook their heads with a sigh. Meanwhile, Azzy looked expressionless as usual. He knew that Leo was telling the truth. However, being a person with fewer words, he didn't comment on it either and stayed silent. Upon hearing Leo's words, the smile on Hilas was frozen and he shrugged his shoulders. He still can't control his strength and was still banned from participating in any kind of tournaments. Either way, the academy will be honored with this. Helas didn't like Azzy as he also became a victim of embarrassment in a class when he tried to suppress his Arcana beast to rank .5 only for it to die. Unlike the situation with Instructor Herman, Azzy didn't even use Vajra to defeat his beast. After losing his face, he never asked the principal to let Azzy attend his class again until now. He wanted to teach Azzy a lesson, but due to fear of losing his own image in public, Helas never challenged him personally. After all, being a peak. Rank .6, even if he wins, people will say that he was a bully, and if he loses, he won't be able to show his face to anyone. But, after hearing from the principal, he personally tested its power. When he saw himself being defeated badly, he planned to let Azzy know the fearsome power of the robot. So, once again, after 4 months, he requested the principal to let Azzy attend his class, in the name of being the last one. Back to the present, he looked at everyone, and asked, who wants to spar it first? As a student council president and a model student, Leo obviously came forward. After being surrounded by many weaklings, it also wanted to try out its strength. The crowd cleared the area and moved far. Only the robot and Leo left on the field. Standing far away, Helas took out a remote from the storage card and pressed the button. All of a sudden, the robot's eyes turned red. Hostile mode activated. An energy saber appeared in his hands. Ha! Everyone was taken aback by its sudden behavior. Only Azzy knew why it activated the hostile mode. As a person who actively sparred with the robots for the past year, he knew that it was due to Leo's nature being a beast. His master explained to him that the robots were actually designed by a private company named Energon, to replace the Guardians at the Arcana world and also help in maintaining law and order there. With such thoughts, the scientists installed a feature of the auto detector and hostile mode. According to it, the machine will always be on the side of humanity and can never take a life. Along with it, it will always be hostile to the beasts from the Arcana world. However, many nations objected to letting this man-controlled machine allow into the Arcana world. After all, not only it is riskier to let them into that world, but they also don't want the Guardians to lose their jobs. Unlike Guardians, the machine cannot mistakes, cannot favor one person over the other, and cannot allow the rules to be broken either. Which upper authority like it if everyone is treated as fair? Upon their proposal being rejected so many times, Energon finally gave up on their dream and instead, started selling them to the nations to make use of them in this human world. They also slightly modified the hostile mode when it felt threatened by an Arcana beast, whether it is a free one or a tamed one. Back to the present, the robot turned into hostile mode as soon as it sensed a platinum-grade beast. Since Leo isn't a human, the robot didn't hold back its strength and proceeded to be extremely offensive. What's going on? Helas frowned at its strange behavior. He didn't know of such a feature, but considering Leo's strength, he thought of waiting and see what happens. Meanwhile, Leo clenched his fist as the robot dashed towards him. Reaching its enemy, the robot slashed at him with the saber. The students were stunned to see how fast and aggressive it is. On the other hand, Leo appeared calm. He didn't summon his Arcana beast. Everyone thought he wanted to challenge it by himself. Only Azzy knew that Leo didn't have one to summon. As the energy saber almost reached him, Leo sidestepped at the perfect moment and then, threw a punch towards its waist. The attack by the robot missed while his punch was landed on the target. Because it is made of steel, Leo didn't do much damage, for he only threw a normal punch without any soul energy present in it. Watching it from far away, Azzy shook his head and mumbled, "Foolish." Claire, who was coincidentally standing beside him, asked, "What is being foolish?" Azzy answered, "He should have struck the shoulder joint." "Why?" she asked him, but he stayed silent, not intending to talk too much. Gideon, who was standing on the other side of him, also asked him the reason. This time, he opened his mouth. Azzy explained, "The eyes are the weakness of a beast. The limbs are the weakness of a human. Likewise, the joints are the weakness of a machine. When those weaknesses are heavily damaged, they will no longer able to fight at their full strength. Pointing at the machine, Azzy further continued, and if he had punched with soul energy at that spot, it would have done considerable damage. In rare cases, 1 in 10 chances, a chain reaction will follow up it and damage its internal system. Come on. That's too much. Claire playfully hit Azzy's shoulder. You are speaking as if you knew about the robots. Azzy didn't comment on it and stayed silent. Being with him for a year, she knew his personality very well, so she didn't feel disappointed about it. However, sometimes she can't help but get jealous of Gideon, who is the only one that gets treated specially by Azzy. Even though he treats her better than others, she still feels like this junior looks at her as a stranger or maybe, an acquaintance. As Azzy stayed silent and concentrated on Leo, the two of them also continued to watch the spar. At first, Leo successfully evaded its attack and counterattacked it with raw punches and kicks. However, slowly, the robot got used to his movements. Soon, its attack started to land on him. It kinda alarmed the instructor, but then, since Leo used soul energy to make his body as hard as steel to not get injured, he waited. Although he wasn't injured very much, superficial cuts started to appear all over his arms when he tried to block the saber with them. Meanwhile, Azzy was watching Leo's movements through aura sensing. He was observing the changes in his body. For a while, he saw the sparks of lightning appeared in his body. It kept on generating for a few seconds before it cools down by itself. Azzy was trying to understand the meaning behind it. This beast is really a special one. Suddenly, he heard the Reaper's comment in his head. It's really for one to suppress their rage like this Galarian. Suppress the rage. Azzy wondered those sparks are related to it. Knowing what's going on in his host's mind, the Reaper explained, it is controlling its power to use the soul skills. The original Leonard is a wind attribute user. If it reveals its lightning nature, then, suspicions will surely grow. No matter the reason, it can't afford to be suspected. So, guess, what will it be its next move? Azrael wondered, to get knockout directly and end the spar. Bingo! The Reaper was satisfied with Azzy's answer. But, can it trust the combat instructor to step in at the right time and save it? Azzy didn't think it would do it. Only fools will put their hopes on chances and wait for them. Smart people always create chances. And the beast isn't a foolish one. As soon as his word ended, all of a sudden, Leo screamed in pain while flying back towards them. His stomach started to bleed, but it isn't much to be considered fatal. Chapter 72 Snivy and Mia Leverett. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Leo realized that he can't stand against the robot unless he reveals his soul skills, he purposely got hit by the saber while protecting his inner organs with soul energy. A large cut was slashed onto his chest while he flew back. Falling on the ground, a few feet away from a student, Leo then controlled his blood vessels and spit out the blood. Everyone immediately alarmed as the robot didn't stop and dashed towards the fallen boy. Just like the Reaper predicted, the instructor quickly moved from his spot and managed to save him just in time. He then deactivated the robot with the button and apologized to Leo before healing his injury with a 5-star healing card. Everyone else looked at the robot in panic. They clearly don't want to risk their lives while sparring with it. I guess there seems to be a malfunction. I'll contact the principal and report him about it. He dismissed the robot with reluctance. Helas cursed himself for letting Leo try it first. Damn. I should have asked this blank-faced brat to be the one to test it. Anyway, he'll stay here for the next 2 years. I can wait for another chance. Okay, since student Leonard was fine, let's continue with today's lesson. Before that, let me inform you of a few things. You'll likely hear it again from your homeroom teachers, in the upcoming days. It's about the annual tournament. The instructor managed to change the topic quickly and clear this tense atmosphere around the students. Soon, the annual tournament will be commenced, where you get to acquire the bonus score for the final examinations. Just like every year, students below grade point 10 that made it to the top 10 will be exempted from final exams and directly move to the elite division during the next semester. And also, the top 2 students from each grade will also move to the elite division without having to attend the exams. As for grade 10, those who reached rank point 5 are automatically eligible to graduate from the academy. Still, you have to work hard for AEE, Advanced Entrance Examination, to get admission into universities to pursue higher education or aim for special academies. Anyway, I think I said too much. So, I'll stop here. The rest will be explained by your homeroom teachers. For today's last class, let's see how much every one of you improved comparing to the first day. All of you, group up according to your soul ranks. Rank point 5 to the left, rank point 4 in the middle, and rank point 3 to the right. Azrael, let's go. Claire nudged him before stepping forward to join the other rank point 5s and other first rankers. Azzy also followed her. From grade point 8, he's the only one in the group. As for grade point 9, a couple of guys broke through to rank point 5. As for Claire, she's the winner of the last monthly tournament in the rank point 4 category. Others couldn't help but look at them in envy. Okay, Augustine, Gideon, Snivy. The instructor divided the rank point 4 students into 20 groups with 5 in each team. Students with rank point 5 souls and first rankers in the last 3 monthly tournaments, you already proved your progress. You may relax. He then pointed to the rank point 3s who are mostly from other divisions of grade point 8, and said in a serious tone, you guys need to work hard. If you don't make it to rank point 4 by the end of the semester, you might need to depend on your theoretical examination scores. After giving a serious warning to them, he called 2 teams and called for a team battle. An hour later, okay, Team C wins. Good job. As everyone clapped to the winning team, he continued, now, the last battle is between Team T and Team A. Come forward. From Team A, Gideon from grade point 8, Snivy and Augustine of grade point 9, Soul Weapon Division, Hurley and Eugene of grade point 10, Soul Weapon Division, stepped forward, together. After the other team also gathered at the platform, everyone summoned their arcana. Strangely, by coincidence, all of the students from Team A have a weapon arcana spirit. Gideon has a lightning sword, Snivy has a giant hammer. When she summoned it, everyone was surprised. For a petite person, the hammer was too huge and also appeared heavier. The students even wondered where she is getting such strength to swing it like some kitchen knife. As for the other 3, they are nothing special. One has a dagger, another has also a sword while the last one has a metal rod. However, none of those 3 are of gold grade. So, no one paid much attention to them. On the other hand, the opponent is a mixed team, comprising of a weapon, 2 plants, and 2 beasts. Ha! Gideon was the first one to charge towards his opponent. However, before he even reached half the distance, all of a sudden, a tree root erupted from the ground and captured his leg before hanging him upside down, surprising everyone. Oh! That's a good one. The instructor praised her from the sidelines. He was indeed impressed with her sudden ambush. That's Mia Leverett. My classmate. Claire whispered to Azzy. Her father was ex-president. She's also Senior Leonard's cousin. Azzy nodded plainly in response. He was only staring at Gideon, who was hanged upside down at 10 feet away from the ground. Claire can't help but puff her cheeks and mumble to herself, something. Right then, to everyone's surprise, the petite girl raised her 3M big hammer above her head and unleashed, soul skill. Iron smash. As the hammer landed on the ground, it started to shake for a couple of seconds. Suddenly, a giant iron fist erupted from the ground, right below the opponent's team. While the 3 of them were able to escape, 2 of them were hit and flew towards the sky for more than 200 meters. Snivy halted her footsteps and glanced at the sky. She didn't expect the effect would be that great. After all, when she used it on the monsters, she found there wasn't much result. Along with her, the others also stared at the sky. The instructor immediately stopped the match and quickly dashed towards the place where they will likely fall. If they flew back, he wouldn't have bothered to save them. However, they flew upwards. He thought they will be injured heavily at this rate. Since it is just a spar, he decided to catch them. He also summoned his gorilla to help him out. This 20 feet big monster was enough to save them. Soon, everyone saw the two kids were falling at a high speed and the gorilla spread its arms to catch them. Right then, the girl of the Leveret family spoke. I wanted to keep this skill as a secret for the national tournament, but I guess I have no choice. The 2-meter oak tree suddenly extended its branches towards the sky and caught both of them, perfectly before bringing them down to safety. The instructor then scolded Snivy for using such a dangerous skill on her friends. He then praised Mia for her quick thinking. Meanwhile, as he spoke to himself, if she can master her soul skill, she would be able to control the direction of that iron fist. Claire and some other student from grade point 10 turned their heads towards Azzy and wondered whether he was the right person to talk about control. Finishing the class, Azzy returned to the dormitory. Now that Oakley and his family no longer lived in the mansion, he felt pointless to live there. I'll go first. Azzy spoke to Gideon as soon as he opened the door. He rushed to the bathroom to shower, first. Eddie, fine, it's not like I'm objecting. Gideon replied while walking towards his bed. 8 months ago, when he shifted to the dormitory, at first, he was given a room for himself, but then, Gideon, who wouldn't leave Azzy alone, ended up being his roommate without even telling him while leaving poor Lark. When Azzy found it out, he got incredibly annoyed and directly asked him why he doesn't just ignore him like everyone else. In response, Gideon simply replied that from the moment he has seen him, he felt Azzy was kinda like family to him. His behavior also constantly reminds him of his relatives. That's why whenever he was with Azzy, Gideon never missed his distant home. Azzy, who understood what Gideon was talking about, didn't complain anything from that day. Back to the present, for the rest of the evening, the two became busy with homework of common subjects. From time to time, as usual, Gideon kept on chattering about this and that. In response, Azzy just listens quietly while continue to do his own thing. 3 days later, the two of them arrived at the classroom, 10 minutes before the time. However, to their surprise, their lazy homeroom teacher, Ruben, was waiting for them. Both of them greeted him with a slight bow while wondering what's going on. Go and sit. Not only them, but the other 8 students also wondered about his strange behavior. After confirming that everyone arrived, he spoke. Today, we got an important notification from the principal. He wanted to inform all of you that, this year, our school is about to host the prestigious Champions League. Champions League. As soon as the students heard those 2 words, everyone's eyes lit up in excitement. The only exception was Azzy, who was still staring at the teacher with blank eyes. As a person who was banned from sparring against fellow humans, whether it is the Champions League or the World League, they aren't worth much to him. Ruben continued, that's why the annual tournament was pushed to 2 weeks earlier. Right after the tournament, the champions from all over the world will arrive at our academy. Chapter 73 Champions League Rules and Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As we are going to host the Champions League, the summer holidays will be reduced from 6 weeks to 2 weeks. Those who have a problem with it can ask the principal by themselves. Also, the upcoming annual tournament format has been changed as well, so that it will be easier for our students to get familiar with it. Instead of a single knock-out tournament, 2 more categories will be added. 1 is a duo where you can team up with 1 more student and participate in the tournament. And the other is a team match. The group match is mandatory for every student to participate. However, you can choose one between singles and duo. As for the grade battles, they are unchanged. Battles will be conducted prior a week before the tournament. The top 2 from each grade will battle in the arena on the day of the finals. Anyway, by the end of next week, submit the names with category preference. You also need to form a team of 5 and submit them to the vice principal during lunch hours. Any doubts, so far? Gideon immediately raised his hand, in place of Azzy. Earlier, you mentioned that the group match is mandatory. Does that mean Azrael will also participate in it? I mean, there's a ban on him. So. Everyone looked at him. They wondered why he is asking that question. Was he asking in place of his friend, or was he hoping that he won't participate in it? Azzy also turned his head to look at Gideon. Reuben then answered by shaking his head, no. Unless the ban is lifted on him, he can't participate in any tournament. And unless he was able to control his strength, I don't think the principal will lift the ban on him. Upon hearing their teacher, some of them sighed in relief while the others felt it's pity that their grade won't stand out. Okay, let's talk about the upcoming Champions League. I know all of you know about it, but let me explain the details. Champions League is the tournament conducted by WAMO, World Arcana Master Organization, the same organization that conducts the international tournaments, the most famous being the World League. The league was divided into 2 types. One is the Junior League, where the students below 15 will participate. The Senior League is for the students who are below 100 years. Our academy is selected for Junior League, which is conducted every year, while the Senior League is conducted every 5 years. Whenever they coincide, the tournament will be conducted in the academies with both beginner and advanced programs like Dragon Academy, Phoenix Academy, Sun Academy, etc. Now, coming to our tournament, just like its name, the Champions League is a tournament where only the champions are allowed to participate. However, the champion here doesn't refer to a single person. It refers to the academy where the champion of the national tournament is from. This year, it was decided that our Northern Kuduru will get the opportunity to host the tournament. And our top student, Leonard Light, gave us this opportunity by becoming the winner. As a host nation, we get 20 slots for the tournament, out of which, 10 of them were given solely to our academy. We were given 4 single slots, 4 duo slots, and 2 team slots. And based on your performance in the annual tournament, the academy will decide them. Unless there isn't an accident on the midway, you can safely assume that those who reach semi-finals in duo and single categories will be selected. As for the group, those that reach finals will be selected. Gideon once again raised his hand. Yes. The teacher gestured to him to proceed. Gideon then asked, what if someone from the team that made it to the finals, also made it to the semi-finals in another category? Reuben shrugged his shoulders, then, they just have to pick a category and the void will be filled by others. Not a big deal. A student named Russell raised his hand and asked, Teacher, what about the rewards? Good question. Reuben smiled as he answered, this is the biggest change, comparing to the past years. For the annual tournament, the winner will not only receive 5 million credits but also a gold.grade flying card, gold.grade storage card, and a defensive armor that can withstand a full.powered attack of a platinum.grade beast with peak.rank 0.5 soul. The runner-up will receive 2 million credits, a gold-grade item card of his choice, and a unique 5-star skill card. The third place will receive 1 million credits and a gold-grade item card of his choice. 4th to 10th places will receive 100,000 credits and a random gold-grade item. After that, everyone will receive some rewards, according to their ranks. But, the biggest reward of all is the tournament winner gets a 1.1 tutoring session with the Grand Prince Aegis Light, a mid-rank 0.8 expert. It is something that's invaluable for all of you. So, don't lose this opportunity. As the students were excited about the rewards that increased tremendously from the previous year, Reuben continued, of course, these are for the senior division. For the junior and the elementary divisions, the rewards will be different, but it doesn't matter to you guys. Anyway, Coming to the Champions League, all the 40 contestants from each category will be divided into 8 groups with 5 in each. As a host nation, we also have the advantage of choosing a specific group for each contestant. Of course, only 8 spots can be chosen. The remaining will be randomly placed. Each contestant will participate in 4 battles and the top contestant from each group will go to the quarterfinals. Then, semi-finals and at last, finals. The winners from each category will receive the same reward as the World League winner. 100 million credits, an extremely rare platinum-grade item card of her choice, the knowledge of a unique skill card creation taught by a renowned card creator, a high-grade elemental crystal of her choice, a customized item forged by a renowned grandmaster that will amplify one's strength, private tutoring session with rank 0.9 experts. Chapter 74 Azzy to not participate in the tournament. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If a team has multiple members, they have to share the rewards between themselves. Along with that, a Medal of Honor and lastly, a free admission ticket to any special academy of one's choice for their advanced studies. Of course, it goes without saying that one can't choose an academy if it has gender restrictions. The runner-up will receive 20 million credits, a random platinum-grade item card, knowledge of a unique skill card creation, a high-grade elemental crystal on their choice, a defensive armor that is sturdy enough to protect your upper body from even a platinum-grade beast of peak. Rank 0.6. They too receive a Medal of Honor and a free admission ticket for special academies. The third place's rewards are 10 million credits, a high-grade elemental crystal, knowledge of a unique skill card creation, a free admission ticket, and a Medal of Honor. As for the remaining rankings, they will receive similar rewards but of lesser quality. The rewards stated by him almost made everyone drool as they listened to them. It is obvious that every one of them got tempted. Even Azzy was no exception. He wondered whether he should lock the 6th seal and then requests his master to lift the ban on him so that he can participate in the tournament, but then, he immediately threw the thought away as he felt it is too pathetic. Meanwhile, Ruben continued, the students from the other academies will start to arrive at our academy, 10 days before the tournament. That means they will be watching your performance in the annual tournament too. So, as long as you excel and able to distinguish yourself in the tournament, even if you didn't go to the semi-finals, even if you didn't get the chance to participate in the Champions League, you still have the chance to get scouted by famous academies with both beginner and advanced programs like Dragon Academy. Or you might also have the chance to receive internship offers from various organizations. Maybe, even from the government too. So, you should never lose an opportunity here. Everyone nodded seriously. Although Azzy appeared the same on the outside, he felt that he should work harder in the following days. Watching everyone's faces change to seriousness, Ruben nodded to himself in satisfaction. He then spoke, Lark Sandru, you are not only the representative of this class but also the entire grade 0.8 comprising of all divisions. It will be your job to make sure that nothing goes wrong with the guests. Pick a vice representative from another division and few other members to form a committee that focuses entirely on making sure all the students of the grade 0.8 behave. During the past 250 years, since the founding of the Academy, it was the first time that our Academy was chosen as a host for such a prestigious league. The principal will be furious if the reputation of the Academy will be harmed. Lark nodded seriously. At the same time, he was excited, inside for receiving such responsibility. As he sat down, Ruben continued, because every teacher would be too busy with the preparations, your classes will be ending by 12:30. After that, it will be your own time. Training grounds 3 and 4 are open to everyone. You can train with your senior or go on a self-training. It's your choice. The homeroom session ended with murmurings from the students. Not only was this classroom, but every other classroom is also in the same condition for the whole week. Instead of concentrating on the class, everyone gets busy discussing who to partner with. On the other hand, Azzy continues his daily life as usual. He diligently pays his attention in the morning classes while in the afternoon, he goes off alone to the restricted third floor of the building in the training grounds. Point 1 where he spars with the robot alongside the Black Wolf. His only goal is to make sure to keep the soul energy consumption to a minimum. One should say he's improved quite a bit, compared to the first day. Right now, when he drew the soul energy from the soul orb and distributes it to the rest of the body, at least 10% of the energy will be consumed. He kept trying hard to reach 5% where it can be said that one has soul energy under their control. Most of the Arcana Masters, even without training, achieve this result just by breathing. A week passed away and the registration for the tournament has been closed. Alas, Azzy wasn't able to register as the principal didn't lift the ban on him. Although a part of him thinks it is unfair, the Reaper convinced him by telling him that gaining attention isn't good for him and can get in the way of his goal. Azzy felt that the Reaper is right. His goal is more important than some material rewards. He continued his daily life as if nothing changed for him. A few more days later, one fine morning, Azzy and Gideon, as usual, left their dorm and started walking towards their Elite Division's Academy Hall. Just as they reached the building, both of them saw a group of 8 girls, who are wearing a different school uniform, accompanied by an adult who was taking to Amelia light. The stranger and Amelia seemed like acquaintances judging by how they were all smiles. "Oh. Azrael, Gideon." Amelia suddenly called them out as soon as she spotted them, nearby. Some of the girls also glanced in the direction she was looking at. One of the girls was taken aback in surprise and pointed her finger towards Azzy. "It's you." Azzy looked at her blankly. He felt this little girl seemed familiar but nothing came to his mind. Amelia asked curiously, "Miss Magnolia, do you know our student, Azrael?" The 11-year-old calmly replied, "We encountered each other a couple of times." She then greeted him formally with a slight bow, maintaining her manners. "It's been a while, senior." Azzy blinked twice in cluelessness and asked, "Who are you?" Chapter 75 Encountering Epi again. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. As someone who bore ill feelings against Azzy because of her sister, she certainly remembered him. No, it's not just because of her sister. It's also because of her pride. A couple of months after Azzy's encounter with Sapphire, during a special week that was allotted to only the Elite Division, Azzy and his fellow schoolmates went to Mylan City. There, by coincidence or by deliberate planning, he once again encountered Sapphire. This time, her sister was also with her because of the last time. But, what both of them faced is a blatant rejection as soon she offered him the position of Royal Knight and Nobility. Sapphire even compromised by offering him a chance to be one of the disciples of a high-rank .9 expert, but Azzy didn't even give a thought and directly rejected the offer one more time. Due to the presence of the Black Wolf and his rank .5 strength, Sapphire felt that she might not able to force him through the strength and silently retreated from there. Novcom on the other hand, Epi, who felt like she was humiliated because of the rejection, bore a grudge against Azzy. As time passed away, eventually, she forgot about it. However, after a little over 6 months, she saw him once again. As one of the representatives of the Phoenix Academy, she felt the need to show her manners. So, swallowing her anger, she greeted him with a smile while expecting the same. However, she didn't know that Azzy never greets anyone that he doesn't acknowledge. Naturally, she received the unexpected line. Compared to the past, she felt he grew a bit taller and more handsome. Other than those two irrelevant things, she felt nothing changed, whether it's his expression or his behavior. Her anger rose as she thought he was feigning ignorance. But, she quickly calmed down herself and replied, "Epi Magnolies of the Phoenix Academy." Azzy plainly nodded, implying that he got it. Not paying attention to her any longer, he then looked at Amelia. "Teacher, do you need anything?" She was taken aback. "Earlier, you called us." Azzy clarified his question. "Ah. Yes." Amelia became a little flustered upon his sudden question. She didn't expect that he would respond like this. After all, she was with her friend who volunteered with the team so that she gets to see her. But, now, Azzy's behavior caused her disappointment. Calming down herself, she said, "Nothing. I wanted to introduce you to the guests. This is the team from the Phoenix Academy. It is one of the top 3 academies in the Arcana world. As they will be staying here for the next 3 weeks, it would be better if the two of you get to acquaint with each other." Gideon had a big smile on his face as he greeted them. "Hello, I'm Gideon. Grade point 8. On the other hand, Azzy kept silent as he looked at them. He plainly nodded to them before turning towards the teacher. "Teacher, I appreciate your goodwill, but you don't need to bother yourself. I don't socialize, either way. If there's nothing, I have to go to the class and prepare for the exams. Excuse me." Giving a slight bow, Azzy walked away from there, not intending to wait for the reply. Meanwhile, Gideon also followed him from behind reluctantly, even though he wanted to stay there. After all, every one of those girls can be considered a beauty, well, except for Epi, who is too young. As the both of them left, a frown appeared on everyone from the Phoenix Academy. Meanwhile, Amelia helplessly smiled and cursed herself inside as to why didn't she expect something like this. Azzy's character was known to the entire academy. She felt that she should have talked with them, somewhere else. The instructor who was accompanying them, complained in a serious tone, "Princess Amelia, who is that brat? How dare he talk to us like this? Is he a member of your family or something?" She was clearly angered by Azzy's earlier behavior. The girls from the Phoenix Academy nodded as if they were agreeing with their instructor. Amelia let out a sigh. "Miss Vela, he's like that from the start. Don't mind him. He's just devoid of emotions. So, he often stays away from the crowd. We can't do anything about it." "I see." Vela nodded in understanding. Since she trusts her friend, she put away her anger and then comments, "Rank point 5 at such early age, not bad." Amelia wanted to brag that he's just 13 years old. However, remembering that Azzy wasn't going to participate in the tournament, she kept silent and then, lead them towards the other places, acting as a tour guide. Meanwhile, Epi had a strange feeling upon hearing Amelia's explanation. She didn't know how to feel, right then. On one side, she thought Azzy doesn't intend to humiliate them. On the other side, she thought he might just be taking advantage of his condition and behaving rudely. Even if he isn't what she thought he was. Epi felt she doesn't need to understand his condition. After all, they are strangers. Ugh. She slightly grabbed her forehead as her head was aching while thinking about it deeply. For now, she decided to ignore the matter for her inner peace. Meanwhile, Azzy and Gideon arrived at the class and found it empty as usual. As they took their seats, Gideon asked, "Azzy, how did you know that Princess of Evener?" "Not sure." Azzy shook his head as he failed to recall her face. In both of the times, she doesn't leave much impression on him. "Did you forget her surname?" The Reaper, who was silent until now, chipped in. "Surely you must remember the girl with Griffin." Azzy was taken aback. As he tried to recall, a beautiful image of Sapphire and her Griffin appeared in her mind. "Ah!" Azzy shouts out loud as he stood up from the seat. What happened?" Gideon looked at him, curiously. "Nothing, I just remembered her," Azzy answered him as he sat down. He then recounted his experience at the grasslands of Myelin. How he was battling a group of rank point 4 orcs and how Sapphire tried to scout him, etc. He left out the encounter at the Whale Island as he was too embarrassed to admit that he was the one that caused the island to shut down for a while. Upon listening to everything, Gideon was left in a daze for a while before he returns to reality by almost screaming at him, "Are you serious? You rejected being the disciple of a high rank point 9 expert. Is it that great?" Azzy blinked at him a few times as if he was stating that it isn't a big deal. Gideon didn't know how to react, and in the end, he simply laughed to brush off the awkward atmosphere. After a while, the class became full. Everyone else arrived with excitement. As they started to discuss, regarding the students of the other academies that arrived early, Gideon left his seat and joined the group. Azzy, who had nothing to do with the discussion, simply continued to go through the book. Compared to the other subjects, Azzy felt the grade .8 mathematics was slightly difficult for him. After all, he jumped 5 grades. So, it's no wonder he struggles with it. 15 minutes past 9, the homeroom teacher finally arrived. However, he didn't come alone. Along with him, 3 boys stepped inside the class. Everyone looked at them, curiously. Naturally, Azzy also observed them. All of them looked cheerful and have big smiles on their faces as they looked around the classroom. As for the attire, they wore the same kind of uniform as them. White shirt, gray pants with a navy blue blazer, and a striped tie. The only difference is that there's a patch on the blazer, at the left chest. On it, a maple leaf was drawn. Maple leaf. Azzy mumbled, finding it familiar. He tried to recall where he heard. Oh my God, they are from the Maple Academy of Maple City. Gideon gasped in realization. Only did then Azzy remembered where he saw it. During their visit to the Springwood Forest, which is located outskirts of Maple City, he helped a group of students from a mutated gold-grade beast of peak. Rank .4. On the other hand, Gideon almost turned into a fanboy with his eyes lit up in excitement. It's the Maple Academy. The Academy produced the most number of winners in the World League. I can't believe their students arrive at our academy, this early. Surely, they wanted to check out our strengths. World League. Azzy was taken aback as he heard Gideon's mumbling. He didn't know that they were that famous. He took a look at them, once again. Chapter 76 Students from Maple Academy. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. These are the grade .8 students, representing the Maple Academy in the upcoming Champions League. Their instructor requested to let the students experience our academy's normal studies. So, for the next 9 days, they will be joining you for the morning classes. Some students were happy that students of a prestigious academy will be joining them, while the others were disappointed that they were all males. In the whole school, their class was extremely popular for 2 things. One is Azzy, a rank .5 Arcana Master, and the other is that it is the only class with no female students. These adolescent single boys were so desperate to date a girlfriend that some of them even wanted to perform poorly in the monthly tournaments to go back into a different division. But, as the conditions were too better at Elite Division, whether it is the classroom or the dormitory, they can't help but stay here. Back to the present, finishing with their little background introduction, Ruben looked at them. Please introduce yourselves. The tallest boy was the first to introduce himself. Hello, my name is Roland, 14 years old, grade .8, Forest Division, 99241 Soul Power. Nice to meet you. Everyone in the classroom stared at the boy in silence as he gave such a weird introduction. Maybe, Ruben understood their thoughts. He quickly clarified, Maple Academy's divisions are unique. It starts with the root, then, leaf, branch, trunk, tree, and at last, the forest. Obviously, the forest division means they are elite students. While everyone who heard it thought it was weird, they kept their mouths shut. Then the second boy, who was the shortest of the bunch, introduced himself. Hello, my name is Kyle Furlet, 14 years old, grade .8, Forest Division, 97885 Soul Power. Be-Nov-Com. Why are they revealing their soul power in introductions? Gideon whispered to Azzy. Azzy shrugged his shoulders. Who knows? The last one was different from the other 2. He was neither short nor tall. Just average, but what made him unique is his bald head and a foolish grin on his face. Azzy, who never saw a bald person in his life, looked at him curiously as if he was watching an animal in the zoo. He raised his hand in the air while introducing himself. Hello, I'm Drake of Forest Division. Almost everyone closed their ears in reflex as his voice was too loud. The shorty nudged him from beside with a frown on his face. The baldy toned down his voice and continued, "My soul power is 99,999. I hope that I will break through to rank .5 before my 14th birthday, which is a week away." His voice once again rose as he waved his hands, "Let's get along." Although everyone was impressed by their soul power, they still felt that this baldy was going to be a troublesome brat. As the representative of grade .8, Lark felt more pressure. "Please, sit wherever you like," Reuben told them to take any of the empty seats. Except for Gideon and Azzy, and 2 more students that got promoted to Elite Division a while ago, everyone spread all over the room, making it appear empty to them. To make it livelier, each of them shared the desk with the original student. Gideon can't help but gave the looks of being envious towards them. Azzy shook his head and continued to focus on the book. Clap clap, grabbing the attention from everyone, Reuben then spoke, "The annual tournament is only 2 days away. I'm hoping everyone is prepared. I'll be busy with other things in the following days, so, I'm cautioning you guys in advance." Everyone wondered what he was going to tell. However, his next words only caused nothing but displeasure in their hearts. To maintain optimal condition in the tournament, rest is necessary before the match. That's why, make sure to practice with all your heart today and take rest for tomorrow. Looking at this lazy guy now behaves like a model teacher before these foreign students, everyone else scoffed in their hearts. He is their homeroom teacher for the past 9 months. Out of nearly 230 school days until now, they saw him sleeping at his desk for more than 200 days. He rarely gives advice, rarely checked their homework. He was even spotted sleeping in the staff room multiple times while everyone else is preparing for the Champions League. In their trips to the Arcana world, except for giving the information about the place, they never saw him help them out with any monster. A lot of times, the students found him sleeping. They didn't know whether he was brave or foolish. He grabs them and takes them away only when their life is at risk. And that too, when there is no one else is available. So, most of these kids find him extremely unreliable. Only Azzy knew that the teacher was lazy because of his Arcana spirit. When he complained informally to the principal in usual study sessions, his master explained to him the reason. "Back to the present, okay then. I'm leaving. I have lots of work." Reuben then looked at Lark and told him to look after the guests. As soon as he left, everyone except Azzy quickly surrounded the 3 foreigners. As they were introducing themselves to form a friendship with them, the shorty from the Maple Academy kept on glancing at Azzy, who was busy with something. From the moment they arrived at the classroom, naturally, the 3 of them noticed Azzy, who seemed stronger than themselves. Who wouldn't be surprised that a person who was of the same age and has a higher soul rank is studying in a mediocre academy like Acleon? Naturally, they became curious. However, only Kyle wanted to spar with him. Of course, he was only expecting a friendly spar. Kyle wished to know whether Azzy is just of higher rank or whether he is really strong. After talking with the others for a while, he suddenly asked, pointing his finger towards Azzy, "What is his name? Is he really rank .5? The 3 of them turned their heads towards the direction his finger was pointing towards, and then one of them replied with a nod, "His name is Azrael, and yes, he's a rank .5. Is he strong?" he asked the others. Chapter 77, Offending the Foreign Students. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The others fell silent for a while before another guy replied, "Not sure. We never saw him fight, but we heard that he defeated the instructor." "Not exactly, the instructor." Another guy chipped in with disapproval. "His soul beast defeated an instructor's beast. But, still, isn't everyone from grade .10 afraid of him?" The third guy supported Azzy. The second guy commented, "It's just because he is the disciple of principal." "Nah, that's just a rumor." The third guy shook his head. "It's because he owns a platinum grade beast." Upon hearing their argument, Kyle's eyes lit up. He didn't expect to find an Arcana master with a platinum grade beast. Kyle immediately left his seat and walked towards the front. They wondered whether he wanted to leave or something. However, to their surprise, he turned to the left and then walked towards the desk where only one person was sitting. They realized where he was going. Lark. A classmate named Lamar tapped his shoulder while he was busy listening to Ronald's explanation about their academy. Lark turned his head and the classmate pointed his finger towards their left. As Lark looked in the direction, he saw Kyle was walking towards Azzy. Do something. If he were to talk with Azrael, you know the consequences won't be good. Lamar whispered to him. Roland heard the whisper and glanced at Azzy. He wondered whether this rank .5 student is a bully or something. Remembering that his friend was obviously strong enough to go against even a peak. Rank .5, he didn't think too much about it and continued with this explanation of how things run in their academy. Right then, Lark called him out. Mr. Furlet. Everyone stopped talking and looked at Lark, who spoke loudly. Azzy glanced at Lark for a fraction of a second before he resumed with his work. Apologizing to the others, he then said, if you don't mind, can we talk about something? Sure, just give me a minute. Kyle nodded and then continued to step towards Azzy and stopped before him while Lark left his seat and hurriedly went towards the both of them. Hello, I'm Kyle Furlet. Azzy stopped writing and raised his head, Azrael. After mentioning his name, he concentrated on his formula practice, once again, implying that he doesn't wish to talk anymore. Kyle thought Azzy was arrogant, but he didn't get angry. After all, according to him, owning a platinum-grade beast gives the right to be arrogant. He asked politely, I wonder if we can have a friendly spar in the afternoon free time. Continuing to write, Azzy answered, you are too weak. You will die within a minute. Better if we don't spar. Kyle's smile was frozen. What did you say? Azzy didn't respond to him and concentrated on the next question. Bam! He slammed the desk before him and growled, what did you say? Say it again. All of the cheerfulness he put it on outside was completely gone and was replaced with anger, just from the comment. Suddenly, the classroom became silent. Everyone stopped talking and turned their heads towards the both of them. Lark closed his eyes tightly and muttered under his breath, damn. I knew this would happen. Raising his head, Azzy calmly replied, I don't have time to entertain you. Go and play elsewhere. As Kyle clenched his fist, Lark quickly came to the rescue and grabbed him. I apologize, Mr. Furlet. Don't mind him. Azrael doesn't know how to socialize. Kyle. Followed by Lark's apologies, Roland called him while standing up from the seat. Kyle looked at him. Roland simply said, don't cause trouble. Kyle then turned his head to look at Azzy and found him, no longer paying attention to others. He snorted, don't worry. I won't shame our academy by making a fuss out of nothing. As he returned to the seat, the cheerful Baldy slapped his shoulder, cool down, will ya? Not everyone is competitive like you are. His statement irked him only further, but reminding him where he was, Kyle was able to regain his coolness. Meanwhile, Lark tried to talk out of Azzy. Azrael, didn't you hear Teacher Rubin? What will you do if they complain to the instructor? You are the class representative, Azzy commented without raising his head. Don't you know that this isn't a free time that anyone can chat and freely roam as they want? If you can't control the classroom, then at least, make sure there's less noise. It's disturbing my studies. Lark was stumped by Azzy's reply. He wanted to make a point to him to behave himself so that none of the guests would blame their academy because of him. After all, his neck is also on the line. But, instead, he got himself lectured by Azzy in return. What could he say about it when Azzy was right? Anyway, please try not to offend anyone from these big academies. Lark requested him, and then, returns to his seat before apologizing to Roland and Kyle, once again. 15 minutes later, the bell rang and the first period started with geography. Maybe, it's because their academy doesn't focus much on regular studies, or maybe, it's because they lack the knowledge. For whatever reason, the three students weren't able to follow the teachings and felt the subjects are very hard to follow. After the class is over, Drake even admitted that their lessons are tough. It made everyone a little bit happy on the inside. Soon, the morning classes are over and Azzy went back to the dorm to fresh up and then, returned to the building for lunch. Because of the earlier incident, Gideon decided to stick with Azzy at all times to prevent any further issues. However, just as they stepped inside the cafeteria, Azzy found it was bustling with noises. Both of them walked towards the line before the counter. Azrael. Suddenly, a familiar cheerful voice was heard from nearby. Azzy immediately turned towards the left. There, he saw Claire and her friends sitting together. Right now, Claire's face doesn't seem good. However, his attention wasn't on them but on the girl that was sitting with them and was waving her hands. His eyes widened in shock and looked at her once again. Barbara. How? Chapter 78 The Girl from Original Timeline. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. 11th Epoch, January 1st, 2020, Death Clan. The elders and the clan leaders were shocked to see the black lightning ball in Azzy's hand. The Death Clan head, Cridus Garcia, was extremely happy that his successor received such a powerful arcana spirit during his second awakening. Kylon Crescent, the leader of the Crescent clan, clenched his fist and tried to suppress his frustration as he felt their precious arcana spirit was stolen by the son of the Branch family's traitor. The other clan leaders congratulated Cridus. Before, they didn't acknowledge Azzy as they thought his progress was too slow for someone who was selected as the successor. But, now, looking at the black lightning ball that's been recorded as one of the top-tier arcana spirits of the continent, they can't help but agree with Cridus' decision. Meanwhile, Barbara Crescent, Kylon's granddaughter, was filled with excitement to find her cousin awakened a second arcana spirit. Way to go, cousin. She cheered from the sidelines as everyone just clapped. However, all of a sudden, she saw the black lightning ball suddenly started to behave wildly. Azzy started to roar in pain while an hourglass appeared before him. The black lightning ball covered Azzy and started to become bigger. Suddenly, the stadium fell silent. Even the clan leaders were clueless about the phenomenon. They wanted to observe more. She didn't know what took over. Before her brain processed the situation, her body already started to dash towards him. All of a sudden, everyone around there was frozen except for Barbara. What the hell? By the time she came to her senses, she saw her surroundings were changed. She was standing on top of some grassland. Where the hell am I? Back to present, November 23, 1993, Acleon Academy, Azrael. A loud cheerful sound from nearby made Azrael turn his head. He wondered why this voice sounds so familiar. When he looked at the source of the voice, he was taken aback in shock. Barbara. How? What are you doing here? Azzy asked. Gideon and Claire were surprised to see Azzy, who for the first time, stuttered while talking to someone, although his tone was still plain and no expression was seen on his face. It doesn't make any sense. Azzy mumbled to himself while his eyes widened. It was a person from his past, more like the one from the future that wasn't supposed to be here. Actually, it wasn't the first time he saw her in this timeline. By sheer coincidence, he saw her during one of his trips to the Arcana world. Back then, he just thought she only looked similar, and due to only a short moment of acquaintanceship with his cousin, he threw away the absurd thought. But now, looking at her in person, Azzy was clearly frozen in shock. Who wouldn't be in his position? It's not like he wanted to travel to the past. According to the Reaper, it was because of the mistake. It can be explained with Azzy as he possesses a deity-level arcana spirit. But what about Barbara? He knew that her arcana beast is a mere purple grade and she hasn't awakened twice either. It made him wonder whether he was seeing things. He rubbed his eyes and also pinched himself to check whether he's in a dream. When he found out that he isn't, he asked the Reaper to check whether someone performed an illusion. In response, the Reaper replied, "It appears that somehow she was also affected by your exploding aura back then, and time traveled along with you. And no. You aren't put under any illusion. This is reality." Right then, Barbara left the table and stood before him with a big smile on her face. "It's been a while." "You shouldn't be here," replied Azzy as he took her handshake before he asked, "How this is possible?" "It's a long story." She sighed. "Anyway, you are free, this afternoon, right?" Azzy nodded in response. "Then, let's talk after lunch. We have a lot to catch up on. Oh, by the way, join us at the table. Let's eat together." She then glanced at Gideon, who was curiously looking at her. He finds her awfully similar to someone he knew. Thinking that it might be his homesickness, he quickly threw the thought away. Meanwhile, Barbara simply bowed to him as greeting and returned to their table without talking. As a princess of the Crescent, it's normal that she wouldn't know every member of the Branch family. "Who is she?" Gideon asked in a whisper. Azzy replied vaguely, "Someone I know." While he continued to stand in the line, Barbara, who returned to her seat, was asked by a boy from her school, "So, that's the guy who you were so dying to meet with, for the past year?" "Yes, third senior brother." She nodded, maintaining her smile. "I should actually thank Master for finding him for me, so soon. And don't you think it's also fate that Acleon Academy was chosen as a host for this year's Champion League and I meet him, here of all the places?" Listening to her words, Claire's face was only darkened. She didn't know why, but she doesn't like this girl. Along with her, she found out that even her Arcana spirit seems to hate her in the same level it hates Azzy. She wondered whether this girl is also of extremely powerful dark attribute like him. She knew that her sword spirit only expressed a dislike to dark attributes, but it's just a dislike, not such hate. With Azzy's possessing a platinum grade beast, she realized maybe, it's due to the grade difference. Claire theorized that this girl from the Moon Academy is also a possessor of a platinum grade beast, or else, her soul rank wouldn't be higher than her when she's only in grade .7. Just when she was about to ask how they know each other, she heard a shocking statement from the Moon Academy team's leader, who is a 15-year-old 10th grade student and yet, a mid-rank .6 Arcana master. BNOL.M, not bad, he's already a rank .5. Her senior was satisfied with her choice, misunderstanding their relationship. "Should I recommend him to the instructor to scout him?" As Claire heard his intention of taking away Azzy, she felt her heart rate increased all of a sudden. She wanted to say that the principal won't let Azzy leave the academy until graduation. Thankfully for her, without her opening the mouth, someone else interrupted. "Prince Van, please think over again." Another 10th grader from the same academy reminded him that the academy only gave them 10 slots to recruit. So, he cannot waste as he wishes. However, thinking about the prince's position, his friend further suggested that it's better to see Azzy's skills before he proposes it. Well, it's just only 2 days, anyway. We can see his performance in their annual tournament. The Prince of Hildegard agreed with him. Claire sighed in relief. Meanwhile, her friends were also feeling the same, although for a different reason. Previously, they were envious of Azzy who attracted the attention of such a top academy. Now that they heard that they'll see his skills in the tournament, they felt that it's good. After all, it is known to them that Azzy was banned from sparring with humans. So, even if these foreigners knew about it, as long as Azzy was banned from sparring, he can't show his skills. With his terrible personality, he won't be scouted either. With such thoughts, they felt more ease in their minds. As for Claire, she felt uneasy. She felt that this girl would surely take him away if she kept still. Now, all she was hoping for her sister to arrive early. At the same time, she also decided to ask Gideon's help to make sure he stays away, especially from this group. Meanwhile, Barbara was clearly displeased by his interruption. She snorted, "I'm sure Azrael will win the tournament." "But, I wasn't registered for the tournament, Miss Barbara." Suddenly, she heard his voice from her behind. Azzy wanted to address her with her surname, but then, after thinking about Gideon and her circumstances, he decided to call her with the first name. Eh. The people from the Moon Academy immediately stopped eating and stared at him. "Oh. You are here." Barbara turned her head and then asked her schoolmate to sit in the empty seat of the adjacent table. Here. Azzy remembered their encounter. Almost 1 year ago, she did the same, back then. He felt that her princess attitude hasn't disappeared at all. With no other seat available, Gideon sat at the behind table while Azzy took the seat beside her. Chapter 79 The Girl from Original Timeline Part. 2 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Maybe it's because she was from the same clan, or maybe it's because they were from the same timeline. Or maybe it's because when they returned to their timeline, she would be the only one to remember him. For whatever reason, Azzy felt more comfortable with her than with either Claire or Gideon, although they were nothing more than strangers if one excludes their distant cousin relationship. On top of that, as he was the reason she was stranded in this timeline, Azzy also felt guilty for her situation. He decided to fulfill her demands as long as it doesn't cross his bottom line. So, when she asked to talk after lunch, he agreed without hesitation. When she asked to eat lunch together with her, he complied. And when she asked to sit with him, Azzy abandoned Gideon to sit with her, but he didn't expect it would be comfortable despite eating in a crowd. "So, what do you mean by you didn't register?" Barbara didn't waste any time asking him as soon as he sat down. "Isn't it mandatory for everyone to participate in it? I heard that all the academies have the same system. Even for the students who study in the academies of Arcana World, the annual tournament is important. Don't tell me you are throwing away the practical score for the final exams." Just now she claimed that Azzy will even win the tournament. Now, she heard that he doesn't even participate. Not only she was embarrassed but also got worried about his recruitment. "No." Azzy shook his head and explained, "Due to the lack of control over my strength, I was banned from sparring with others to prevent any deaths." Along with Gideon, who was sitting behind him, Claire was also surprised to see this strange behavior of Azzy. As long as they knew him, he was never polite to anyone that he needed to explain his reasons. Right then, Prince Van spoke, "How about sparring with me? I'm a rank 6, surely, you don't need to hold back yourself and can fight everything with you got." Azzy looked at him. Only then did he realize Van's presence. When tried to sense his rank, Azzy indeed felt that he was stronger than any other person of similar ages. However, Azzy felt he's also weaker than the assassin that tried to abduct him, back then. So, he judged that he's at most mid-rank. 6 below 5 million soul power. "Do you have a life-saving treasure?" Azzy suddenly dropped an unexpected question in response. This time, even Barbara was surprised. On the other hand, the students from the Moon Academy frowned. Only Van smiled among them. "You are an interesting character. Anyway, don't worry. I have a life-saving treasure that lets me defend against even a rank. 9 expert, and also I have perfect control. So, you don't need to worry about getting injured too." If it was someone with a huge ego like Leonard, they would have thought that he was mocking them. However, Azzy finds his tone appeared very calm, as if he was quite confident about himself. "I also need to get permission from the principal. If not, at least, someone from our faculty." Azzy further pointed out his other condition. "At the same time, I also need confirmation from your instructor. I don't want our academy to be blamed later." His condition stunned the people around him. Claire sighed, thinking that the good old Azzy is back. He was the same as ever. Meanwhile, Barbara felt that Azzy got himself into trouble. Just like she feared, the students of Moon Academy were indeed offended by his words. Don't think highly of yourself, commoner. A teammate exploded in anger as he slammed the table. You should be grateful enough to get the chance to spar against our leader. If not for Barbara, you won't even have the qualifications to sit with us. How dare you look down on the Crown Prince of Hildegard? Due to using soul power unknowingly, the table has turned to dust while all the dishes fell on the floor, causing a disturbance. Almost everyone in the cafeteria stopped what they are doing and turned their attention towards Azzy and others. They wondered whether there's a fight going on. Azzy raised his head and looked at the boy. You are neither a student of our academy nor are we standing in your academy's premises. Whether you are a student of a top academy or a prince of some kingdom, all of you have equal standing here. So, what qualifications are you talking about? If your leader is interested to battle me that badly, then, tell him to get permission from my principal and your team's instructor or else, get lost. I don't have time to play with you all. Van was taken aback as he found Azzy's expression and tone didn't change a bit. It wasn't a calm and confident tone like his. He felt it's more like Azzy was devoid of emotions. It made him remember certain people he met when he was a child. Those mysterious experts were just like Azzy with no emotions and certainly have disregard for the people's life. After voicing his opinion, Azzy glanced at Barbara and said, let's talk, right now. I'll treat you to lunch, outside. Follow me. He then turns around and walked towards the exit without waiting for Barbara's response. She apologized to her senior brother and ran after him. Feeling everyone's eyes on them, the students of Moon Academy felt ashamed and at the same time, became angry at the guy who was exploded. Coming back to his senses, Van bowed, I apologize for the ruckus caused by my teammate. While bowing, he placed his hand behind the guy's head and forced him to bow along with him. As the representatives of a well-known academy, they should keep their reputation, after all. As the atmosphere turned normal and Claire left towards the counter to take the dishes, Van glared at the teammate and glared, Rufus, the next time you embarrass us by doing something like this. Van didn't even finish his sentence, however, Rufus found himself shaking in fear. Meanwhile, Azzy and Barbara exited the building, continuing to walk towards the exit. So, how long has it been since that incident? 11 months. Barbara was the first to talk now that they were by themselves. She then sighed, I wanted to go back home and see my parents but I don't even know the location. Even if I know the location of our clan, I wouldn't be able to get back. What about you? Don't you want to see your parents? They should be alive, right? Barbara. Suddenly, Azzy raised his voice slightly making her flinch. As she turned her head and looked at his eyes, Azzy spoke sternly, this is not the place for you to spout out those words. He then looked around and then, breathes out a sigh of relief, thank goodness. No one is there. What happened? Barbara asked him as her eyes started to shake in worry. She wondered whether she said something wrong that ticked off Azzy. First, be silent until we leave the academy. Azzy continued to walk, leaving her speechless for a second before she followed him. After they left the academy, both of them took public transport. Barbara didn't know where Azzy is taking her but she just followed him as she has no choice. Azzy then opened his mouth slowly, Barbara. There are rank .6 and rank .7 experts in the academy. What if someone hears it? I'm an orphan to everyone and I want to keep it that way. Ah. Barbara finally realized what she had done wrong. I'm sorry. She immediately apologized and said it wasn't her intention. Within a few minutes, they exited the bus at the first stop and continued to walk until they reached a mansion. Looking at the big house, she asked, where are we? Used to be my home. Now, no one lives here. Anyway, let's get inside. Azzy opened the gate and invited her inside. As they walked through the gate, Azzy activated his aura sensing and scanned a 1-kilometer radius around him. After finding there's no higher rank expert nearby them, Azzy then asked the Reaper whether there is anyone hiding. Only then did he start the topic, okay. Now, it's safe to talk. Tell me, what happened? How are you in this timeline? And where were you until now? Chapter 80 The Girl from Original Timeline Part. 3 You are listening at novelfull.audio. 10 months ago, where the hell am I? Barbara was confused to find herself on the unfamiliar grasslands. 1 second ago, she was at the arena and now, it seemed as if she was teleported to someplace that doesn't seem like it's her clan compound. Barbara, who never stepped outside of the clan village, felt panicked for a second. To gain courage, she summoned the soul card to summon her buddy. However, to her surprise, she found the image and the data on her soul card changed. 56,000 soul power. And this. She didn't waste any time summoning her Arcana spirit. Eddie E.T. Roar. Instead of the fiery blazing red cat, a 4-foot saber-toothed tiger appeared before her. In place of red flames, black flames were dancing around its whiskers, ears, fangs, and tail. Although its appearance is completely unfamiliar, at the same time, she felt it gave off the same familiarity as the cat. Nico. She called out to the tiger after a moment of hesitation. It let out a low growl in response while trying to rub its head to her cheeks. Barbara hugged it and caressed its head. For 1 second, I thought you were different. Say, what happened to you? Did you evolve because of the awakening or something? Yes and no. If you check your soul orb, you would be able to find the reason. All of a sudden, Barbara heard a crispy female voice in her head. She was once again taken by another change. Is that you, Nico? She looked at the saber-tooth. It nodded like a human. How? She felt confused. Previously, she was able to understand its actions and feelings based on their connection. She never participated in an actual conversation like this. You can talk in my head, from now onwards. I don't know what it is, but some strange energy aided me to evolve more than 4 times in a split second. My abilities are also strengthened. It replied in her head. Barbara immediately sat down in a meditative position and transferred her consciousness into her soul to check the changes. This black energy. She remembered seeing something similar just a few moments ago. Cousin Azrael. She realized how it happened. During Azzy's second awakening, he released strange energy which affected her as she was nearby. Excitement rose in her heart. Usually, people get to suffer because of their recklessness. However, she felt that she was lucky to even gain such massive benefit from it. Jumping on its back, she said, Nico, now we need is to return our home. Let's get to a nearby town. As long as I can get to the capital city, it will get easier for Dad to find me. Roar the saber-tooth started to run, searching for a nearby settlement. But, who could have expected that she will run into Van of all people? She saw a 15-year-old boy fighting some masked men, all alone. For some reason, there's no beast nearby or any weapon in his hands, either. Thinking that he's in trouble, she decided to lend him a hand without considering the gap between the strengths. Jumping down from its back, Barbara spoke to the saber-tooth, Nico, I'll leave this to you. Roar letting out a powerful roar, the saber-tooth dashed towards the masked men that surrounded the boy. Its roar attracted their attention and they immediately stopped the battle. As the masked men turned around and raised their weapons to stop the beast, the boy who spotted Barbara, ordered them to move aside. He doesn't know whether it is on purpose or did the girl lose control over the beast, but at the moment, this peaked rank .5 expert thought he needed to stop the beast personally. As for why he didn't let the others do it, it's because unlike him, they don't have perfect control over strength, and he was worried that they would kill the poor rank .4 beast. Barbara was taken aback to see the masked men immediately moved aside and the boy that was supposed to be in trouble stepped forward and raised his hand. A soul card appeared before him and then, soon, gold scales started to appear. Very soon, except for his face, dragon scale armor covered his entire body. Looking at his transformed, Barbara felt amazed and for a moment, she forgot that the saber-tooth set its eyes on the boy, thinking that he's the most threatening. Ah! By the time she realized that her beast was fighting the wrong opponent, the saber-tooth already reached the boy, who clenched his fist and waited to give a solid punch. "Nico, stop!" She hurriedly shouted, but it was too late. The saber-tooth met his fist and was landed a couple of meters away. It stood up on its feet and growled at its opponent, who seemed shocked that his punch did nothing to it. "Nico, don't attack." Barbara gave an order. However, under the influence of the proto's energy, the order never reached it and its rage only increased further. Barbara immediately felt that her soul energy dropped by at least 1.4. She started to run towards it, displaying her recklessness once again. Meanwhile, the saber-tooth formed a black fireball to turn its enemy into ash. The boy in dragon scales frowned. Earlier, he did hear the girl's orders to the beast. "I see. So, she lost control. Beating it up will not do. I need to capture it," he shouted. "Come out, Delphina." He summoned his arcana spirit. All of a sudden, the masked men saw a 50-meter giant gold dragon appeared before their eyes. Letting out a powerful roar, it looked down at its opponent. "Delphina," the host lost control over it. "I want you to hold it in your palms until it calms down." Right then, a giant hand suddenly descended from the skies. "Master." The boy was taken aback. He saw the hand immediately pressed the saber-tooth onto the ground while injecting some light particles into it, neutralizing the effect. As Barbara reached halfway, an old man suddenly appeared in her way. "Relax, kid. No harm is being done to your companion. Wait until it becomes normal." The beast roared in pain for a while before the black aura that covered it slowly dissipated. The hand also disappeared. Barbara reached and hugged the saber-tooth. It let out a soft growl. "Thanks." The boy unsummoned his dragon scales and the gold dragon before started to walk towards her. The masked men also followed him. He greeted the old man, first, "Master." The old man nodded with a smile. As Barbara thanked him for the help, the old man replied, "I sensed a mysterious yet powerful corruptive energy inside the beast that seemed to mix in with your soul. For better or for worse, it was only strengthening the beast's soul but at the same time, making it wilder. Heed my warning, kid. Unless you work extremely hard on controlling that unique energy, someday, you might lose yourself. Don't underestimate a platinum-grade beast." This saber-tooth is a platinum grade. The boy was surprised, and when he tried to sense its aura intensity, he realized that it was at the same level as his own arcana spirit. "I see. No wonder it was unhurt by my punch." Barbara thanked the old man once again and then asked, "If you don't mind, can you tell me the way to the nearby town? I want to go to the capital city." Since they already helped her that much, she thought they can at least tell her that much. "Oh. Capital city." The boy then said, "We are also going that way. You can join us." Barbara decided to go along with him. It's not just because she thought they were nice people. Upon seeing the old man's strength in person, she knew that even if he has ill intentions, she wouldn't be able to escape. As for revenge, she knew about the secret skill that her father placed inside her when she first awakened. If she ever dies, her father would immediately know of the incident and the place of death. Back to present, and that's how I ended up traveling with Prince Van and my master, only to realize that I'm not in Fryles but in the kingdom of Hildegard, where it was ruled by the royal family instead of the government. Barbara ended her story while sitting in the deckchair on the lawn as the house is full of dust. "Then, how did you ended up at Moon Academy?" Azzy asked her.